There you go, just noodling around a little bit in the key of G. Great song from, gosh, when I was taking lessons back in high school, my old teacher, Jack Skiles in San Antonio, taught me that one. All right, tonight we're talking about Martin Guitars. Very excited to have with us some very special guests. Would you welcome our first time to live lessons, Jay Myer from Martin Guitars. Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, a joy to have you here. And then we're also joined, hold your applause to the end, the legendary Greg Voros from Gruhn Guitars. Our good friend Greg is here as well. So as you guys have questions, come on and we will try and answer as many of them as we can. Welcome to Greg and Jay. We've been actually trying to get this lesson together for quite a while, trying to put something together. So I'm so glad that you were able to be here with us, Jay.
It worked out just fine, didn't it? Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
It's been great. Now, how long have you been with Martin?
Over 13 years now.
Really?
Yes, sir. Started as a builder, as a young kid, and just evolved with the company. And I've had many jobs there, but now holding the district sales manager job for going on 5 years, and just love it. Love Nashville.
You're in the Nashville area.
Yes, sir. Live right here in Nashville, and I couldn't be happier with working so close with Gruhn and other people, on customs and Martin Guitar. What's better than that?
That's right. Now, so you were in Nazareth there for a while.
Yep, that's where I grew up. Moved over from New Jersey when I was 5, and I think I went into Martin when I was about 10 years old and fell in love with the place, and told my parents that night after a field trip that I was going to work there one day. And my dad laughed at me.
Wow.
And he says, they're not building jewelry boxes, right? So long story short, I wound up getting my foot in the door, and here I am today. It's just, it's a crazy story, but yeah.
And you started over there working with the building
of
the instruments.
My first job, I got hired to glue the binding on the body. And then soon learned how to phrase, which is cutting the binding, but slowly went down the road and learned many jobs on the line.
Tell us about just the process that how does a guitar get into this shape? It comes in with this raw wood, and then where does it go? Kind of talk us through the process there at Martin.
It really depends on the species of wood and where it comes from in the world. India, which we use a lot of Indian rosewood, there's a lot of regulations and how that comes into the country that you have to follow down to the millimeter. The sides are already cut, the backs are already cut. Now, other species of wood...
So it's cut?
Some is. So the rosewood East Indian has to be because of India's laws. And
Before it even gets to you
Correct.
guys' factory.
Right.
Okay.
And then Central America is totally different. Like
Mm-hmm.
where we get our genuine mahogany, sinker mahogany.
That's from Belize. Right?
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
from the rivers of Belize. That comes in pretty much in either log form or board form. And from there, we'll cut it up into necks, blocks, set back sides, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it's a very long process just to even build a Martin. You know, you're talking 4 to 9 months. You know,
From the time it comes in as wood into the back
no,
dock.
just the building time is 4 to 9 months.
Really?
Just the build.
Wow.
All right. The seasoning of the wood, that's even longer. Depending on the species and the density, to dry wood, it could be anywhere from about 3 months to about 14 months.
Wow.
Now, ebony's more on the longer term. The old school way of drying is still done at Martin Guitar. We still sticker everything, you know, basically put little, you know, areas for airflow to go in all the wood so it dries slowly, comes down. And then the bound moisture that's actually in the fibers of the wood, you have to help it along at the end and put it in a kiln.
Yeah.
It's a very long, extensive process. That's why Martin has, you
Yeah.
know, all the mahogany inventoried
Yeah.
and East Indian rosewood they need for years to come, because you have to be able to look out 3-4 years down the road. Because if you don't, you're not going to have the wood to build D28s. Or somebody asked, this is the new reimagined double aught 28.
Yes. Gorgeous instrument. Absolutely gorgeous instrument. It's a little bit thinner than the standard.
Yep, it's definitely thinner on the sides than the Dreadnought. We got rid of the white Boltron. Now we're using what's called antique white. All the standard series are going to have the veloute on the back of the headstock, or also known as the diamond. We got rid of the closed back tuners. We put the open backs on it, which is, everybody just loves the open backs.
Love 'em, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you do a lot of repairs, Greg. How many people do you see ask for the closed backs today versus open backs now?
Hardly any.
Right.
Hardly any. Everyone likes the open back tuners. I just want to touch on one thing as
Yeah.
well. If you guys haven't checked out the Martin Factory as a tour, I highly recommend it.
So they do public tours
Yeah.
coming through
Yeah.
there.
Their operation is unbelievable. I was fortunate the last time I had a workshop with the NGI. I toured the factory, and it floored me. Fantastic.
It's crazy to see that it's a factory in today's 2018,
Yep.
but it's still very much old-fashioned.
Yeah.
It's still hand-bent sides,
right.
you know, everything glued on by hand. It's. I grew up there,
Yeah.
and when I walk in that door, the nostalgia and the history behind those doors
unbelievable.
leaves me in awe.
Yeah, it's
and I've
unbelievable.
been part of the Martin family
Yeah.
since I was, 19 years old.
Yeah, Martin Guitars. I mean, that's the pride. As far as building instruments, that's the pride of the United States.
Yeah.
It really is, as far as instrument building
I
goes.
agree 100%.
It's
with
kept
you.
in the family for so many generations. No other manufacturing company could make that claim in this country.
I agree 100%. And if you ever are in New York City or Philadelphia, you're literally an hour and 20 minutes away.
That's right.
Just west of New York and just north of Philadelphia. It's the Lehigh Valley, Allentown, Easton, Bethlehem. Nazareth is right next to Bethlehem. It's a cool spot in the world.
It's dynamite. I love Nazareth as
Yeah.
a whole. I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful place. It really is cool. But what's also interesting is the folks that work there. Everyone is so dedicated. I mean, you have generations
Yeah.
of folks working there. Oh, my dad worked here, my grandfather, or whatever it might be. That's fantastic.
And Martin has always been? I mean, like from the very beginning. It was in Nazareth?
No, it started outside of Nazareth, actually in New York City.
Right.
That's where they moved to
Really?
first in
Okay.
1833. They didn't stay there very long. Mrs. Martin at the time, she was really missing Germany, and she wanted to go home.
Right.
So what Germans do, Europeans, they take holiday. So she went on holiday to get away from the hustle and bustle of New York City, and she went to a small town called Nazareth, which her family didn't live right in Nazareth. They lived on top, which was called Cherry Hill, because you had to be part of a certain religion to actually live in Nazareth back at then. Was it the Quakers?
Nope.
Or the Moravians?
Moravians. That's
The
it.
Moravians.
Yep.
Okay, so thus Moravian College is right there,
right.
so on and so forth. But it took her going out there and loving the landscape. It made her think of Germany
Yeah.
so much. CF the First literally picked up, moved his operation just on top of Nazareth for the first handful of years because you can come down into Nazareth during the day if you weren't a Moravian and conduct business.
Right.
But at a certain time in the evening, you had to get up and leave because the only people allowed there after, I think it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, were the actual Moravians.
Right.
So when that law was finally lifted,
Right.
CF moved down into the Valley of Nazareth, and the rest is history. I mean,
Wow.
The main facility, still there. It's called North Street. You can go visit that facility. It's
Wow.
amazing. That'll blow your mind alone with the writing on the walls.
man.
You've been in there, right?
Awesome.
The writing on the walls, people recording the raises, people recording humidity,
That's right. That's all.
That is
snowfall. I mean,
history,
just
man.
crazy
and
stuff.
and the museum as well. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
not only do you get to see how instruments are made, but you guys have a wonderful museum as well. It's not like most manufacturing companies, museums, in-house museum. This is a full-on
It is
museum.
full on. You can literally go to Martin. I like to tell people, if you have the time, take 2 days.
Yeah.
Take 1 day to go to North Street and see that nostalgic first building. And then take nice lunch, then go to the museum and take your time in there because you will literally see the Stauffer style guitars from the early 1833 till today.
Yeah.
And you'll see everything and how it influenced, what
Yeah.
musicians influenced, like why the Dreadnought got ginormous.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing ride through history of acoustic guitars, which I think everybody on here loves.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I mean, honestly, when I took the tour, Matt Cisco gave
Yeah,
me the tour.
great guy.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
And man, I put my hands on some incredible instruments being here with Gruhn's for roughly the same time you've been with Martin, 13 years. And Matt gave me that tour, and he was nice enough to open up the glass and let me handle some of those instruments. Holy cow. Holy cow.
And you know what? I've seen when you walk in, there's a receptionist and there's a lady just around the corner that she has the key to the whole museum. Everything is locked up. But if you get in there on a quiet day and you ask nicely, I bet you they don't say no. And they'll let you play Hank's guitar
Yeah.
or, the original D45.
Oh, I took full advantage. Yeah, man.
Exactly. You know, the Holy
yeah.
Grail,
Oh, for sure.
$1 million guitar.
Oh, incredible!
and-
I played a super early Stauffer period with ivory. I think it was ivory piece neck.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a
Oh, it
multi-piece
was
neck. It was
unbelievable.
ebony and ivory
That's
layered
it.
up together. It was
Beautiful.
24
And,
pieces.
and the craftsmanship was, it was immaculate.
And that's the other thing. People go in there and they think, oh my God, look at all these guitars. That would be so cool to still be able to play that 1834 Stauffer guitar. Guess what? Every guitar in that museum is hung in there because it can be played.
There you go.
Yeah.
Every single one of them for the most part.
There you
There
go.
might be one or two in
Yeah, I
there
get that.
because of, that got broken or smashed or something. And
Yeah.
whatever reason,
I get that, yeah.
But for the most part, they can all be played.
Let's, we've already have so many different questions here. Let's get to some of the basics. I saw one of them down there. Stuart is asking, what's the difference, just in the basics, between the different models? The triple O, I know that they have a quad. Tell us about the differences. What are the basic differences between
as
the
you
different-
go from a Dreadnought, that's the Martin's, flagship model. That's right here. This is a D18 Sinker Mahogany Dreadnought.
Okay.
So that's going to be your biggest model. As you go down in size, double lot is going to be a little, or triple lot is going to
And
be a
if we
little
could get
smaller.
shots of these, that'd be great.
The sides are not as deep on a triple lot either. Your Dreadnought's going to be a full body. All right. It's beautiful Sinker Mahogany here, picked out by me. So this is your Dreadnought, and as you go down, triple lot, double lot, single lot, they all get smaller.
Okay.
The less zeros you have, the smaller it is. And then from there, because you got to remember, the fundamentals come from a German company. So you go from Dreadnought, triple lot, double lot, single lot, then you go to size 1, size 2, and as you go up in numbers, size 5, which is right next to Greg over here. Can you grab that one, Greg? It's a size 5 TERS over here.
Which is a half size.
So this is one of the smallest Martins we make. That's an actual still a guitar.
It's that's not a children, not made
No,
for
no,
children.
no,
That is,
no.
they say,
No.
an interesting. It's tuned in G.
TERS tuning, yep.
Yeah,
High
yeah.
tuning with G, yep.
And this right here is a Gruhn design, and I wanted to touch base on this. What Gruhn does is amazing in finding guitars and designing things that people need to use as tools.
Yeah.
This guitar is very different in sound because of the
Let me
size.
play it so they can hear it.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Sure.
So it's higher in pitch, string length is shorter, frets are closer together, so it's a a bit of an adjustment to play. It gets such almost a music box sort of a sound. Really, just a beautiful.
Yeah. George has
Beautiful
always,
sound.
I mean, we've had a wonderful relationship with Martin for a long time. And so we've always done really well on the standard production models, but really the custom shop, I mean, George's designs coupled with your ideas, of course, and wood selection, that is really, I think, what separates Gruhn's from a lot of dealers. We get a lot of custom shop instruments in. So you and George have such a dynamite relationship. You guys reach out to each other all the time. So that the time and effort that goes into a custom-made instrument for Martin, it takes legwork. It's a collaborative effort, with the store and Martin Guitars. And Martin should be super fortunate to have you representing him in that way.
Well, I really appreciate that.
Without a doubt, along with your designs as well.
That's very nice of you, and I'm humbled to be sitting here with you guys, because where I did start, I don't forget my beginnings.
Yeah.
And to be able to sit around and design guitars with George Gruhn and Vince Gill, I mean, you can't write this stuff in a book, really.
Right.
It's just
That's right.
unbelievable. And the relationship I have with Gruhn and all my dealers in my district, it's my job to help the consumers out there and Gruhn to get the best guitars on the hook, so everybody can find that right one. That one guitar, we were talking about this earlier, Greg, that one guitar you pick up, you can't put down.
That's right.
You can't leave that store without buying it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's what that's what really drives me.
That's right.
We had a question here I wanted to touch base. What distinguishes Martin from other guitar manufacturers? One thing I did do as the wood manager before I took this role is I did study a lot of our competitors' guitars. And what I found is nobody goes as thin as Martin. Sides, back, and top is what I mean. And sanding it, I'm not going to say specs because that would be totally not cool.
Right.
But Martin does go thinner. And the 185 years that we've been doing this has served as trial and error. And I don't think other manufacturers can go as thin because they don't build in the same facet as we do, in the same fashion, I should say. So I think that's really where Martin gets the sound that they get, because it's thinner, so it's going to be louder. It's going to punch more. Sure.
Talk to us a little bit about the woods like that. This is one of the sinker ones?
Yes, sir.
Sinkers,
Okay, so this is a sinker mahogany, just a gorgeous instrument. These are from these logs that were, as they were floated down the river, literally down the river in Belize. Some sank to the bottom. And now they have the technology to be able to find these logs, and they have taken just a small number of them they've been able to find and make instruments out of them, and they're just ridiculously good sounding instruments.
So I designed this dreadnought probably 3 years ago now, and it was a little slow going. George has always been not my harshest critic, but somebody, I admire him and I really respect him, so I wanted to test the waters with this guitar for a while. And I brought it out on the road, and I was selling them pretty easily. So finally I worked up the courage and showed him, and I'll never forget the first time he strummed the chord, because he lit up, like I've never seen George light up.
Oh, yeah.
He asked
Oh, yeah.
what was different about this D18 than anything else that he's ever played, because it's brand new. So what I did is the back, the sides, the neck, the front block, the rear block, and the kerfing, which is the ribbon on the inside, is all sinker mahogany. All of it.
Yep.
The only thing that's not sinker on it is going to be the top and the bracing is Adirondack red spruce, forward shifted scalloped, just like the golden eras.
That's right.
Speaking of the golden eras, this is why I believe these guitars are far above anything else on the market right now. This wood has been underwater for so long. This mahogany predates the actual golden era D18s from the 30s and 40s. It's been underwater that long. I've cut species from all over the world: African mahogany, sapele, sipo, genuine mahogany, Honduran mahogany. You name it, I cut it. There's nothing that smells, looks,
I believe it, man.
and now I know the truth, sounds like Sinker mahogany.
Yeah.
The Sinker mahogany Martin in the two major sizes that we have, as a brand new instrument, they are the best sounding new instruments I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Hands down. Hands down. They're fantastic. I mean, we have a back order
Let me
for
play that.
a
Yes,
lot
sir.
of these instruments. They're just, it's the most amazing box.
We did these.
I agree.
We did a couple of videos with Vince Gill and using these guitars, and gosh, the sound is just, whether fingerstyle or with a flat pick, you know. Just a gorgeous sound, and they're not, compared to some of these other instruments around, for this type of sound. It's pretty economical for the cost wise.
Yes.
For getting a guitar that sounds this great,
Right out of the box.
right out of the box.
Street price, the Sinkers, the D18 Natural, what you're playing, starts at $37.50, and it goes up to I think $42.50 for the 4/12 fret sunburst top
Slotted
with
peg
the
head?
slotted
Yeah.
peg head. Correct. That one, the slotted peg head, people don't understand. You know, they're like, oh, why does this cost so much more money? Well, you're talking about probably 20, 30 more hours of labor
For sure.
on a slotted headstock.
For sure.
I mean, you know,
Work.
spooning and
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's a very difficult job.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see that price fluctuation from a slot head versus a solid paddle head. I did see a question which spiked my interest about the tops, the different
Yeah. Talk to us
shades. Some of these tops, like all the new reimagined stuff, they're going to have aging toner on it to make it look more vintage and more appealing.
And that would be
The first one you played, the Double Aught 28, that one has aging toner on it. This one is just a natural Adirondack top on this Sinker. Now, I'm going to
let you take
explain
that.
to you the grading criteria, because there was a point in time where I graded all the Adirondack, all the Swiss, Carpathian, and Italian Alpine spruce tops. All the rare stuff or customs or like limited editions, I used to grade it all. So what we do is you take a top, AAA Adirondack, everything starts off as an 8. So it's a premium at that point. And as you see small defects, cosmetic defects, like right here, you got a little run out, you got a little claw mark there, so that's -2. You know, you got some racing stripes over here, maybe they don't match over here, so that's minus a point. So then this gets knocked down. This is no longer an 8 premium. This top is now a 5.6.
Got it.
What that means really is nothing. The structure's still there.
Right.
It's all aesthetics.
it's all just the look of it.
Exactly. And this guitar, my thought when I designed it, I wasn't going for the looks.
Right.
I wasn't going for,
That's right.
you're standing over there at that camera looking at this guitar like, wow, I got to have it.
Right.
I designed this guitar for the price point and for somebody like you guys who are outstanding players. When you start playing it, you can't say no.
That's
You
right.
got to have it because it is that intricate. It
Yeah.
is that special. It is,
Yeah.
in my mind, I mean, I'm biased, obviously. I work for Martin Guitar. I grew up in Martin Guitar. But I think this is hands down the best guitar for the money, the sound, hands down best guitar in the market.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt about it.
Had a couple other questions. Let's see. Wow, there's so many. Scott Gould is saying, what is the difference between a triple O28 and an OM28?
So that's all scale length. Triple Aught versus an OM, it's just two different scale lengths, a 25.4 versus a 24.9. That's the only difference.
Scale length being the distance
That's it.
Correct.
From the distance of the from the nut to the saddle. I
Yes, sir.
assume.
And then
Yeah.
a guard is a nice touch.
Yeah,
to
the
change it
guard,
up.
you know, you can usually pick out a triple lot or a double lot with this type of pick guard. With an OM, it's going to be more of a drastic circle or a teardrop at the bottom.
Sure.
It's going to be tighter. But when you're talking about customs, you can do anything on a custom.
That's
so,
right.
you know, people like to mess with people.
Now,
and
on, as far as the
Yeah, I get
customs
you know what I
go,
mean?
Can a person just call in and say, this is what I would like, this type of wood, this type of guitar, this size? Can they special order it like that, or is it just, or does it not work that way?
It does not work that way
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Yet. Working on that. Right now it works like this. You get a hold of Gruhn or whatever dealer you prefer. Call up Rob Ruff, you know, leads the sales manager here. Say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anything like this? If he says no, be like, okay, I want to spec it out. Rob picks up the phone, calls me. I spec it out. I send it over. This summer, I've been working on this system for quite some time. This summer, it's supposed to kick off, and we're supposed to have a new configurator for the actual public. So if that happens, we'll see.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
that's how it's done right now. It's a little slow, unfortunately. I don't like saying that, but the fact is Martin has the longest list of custom options that you could ever dream up.
Sure.
And that's why it's so hard.
I see another question in here. We're just talking about custom things. Grog is saying, is it possible to order a left-handed nylon string guitar from Martin?
Of course. And lefty guitars are no more than righty guitars. We don't upcharge for a lefty guitar. Chris Martin changed that when he took over the company in the late 80s because there was an upcharge back then for lefties. I think it was like 150, 200
Sure.
bucks. And Chris just didn't agree with the rules, so he nixed that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No
so
kidding, yeah.
lefties, if you look at a D28 and it's, you know, this price map or retail, it's the same thing for a lefty. And I saw that the N20 question about, or I'm not sorry, the what was it, the nylon string, right there, Lee. We do all kinds of designs. We can design you anything. I was just telling Greg earlier, you know, music is very area specific. Here in Nashville, you got a lot of bluegrass and country, obviously.
Sure.
But if you go up by DC, it's a totally different
That's
genre of play. So up there, I do have a few N20s and nylon style guitars that I've designed over the last couple of years that my dealers just keep reordering because they sell them.
They keep selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, get a hold of your dealer, get a hold of Gruhn, please. Talk to Rob. He'll get a hold of me, and I'll design whatever you want.
Sure.
Wow.
You know what else is amazing is how setup specs are regional as well, which I thought that was really interesting when I moved down to Nashville from New York some 13 years ago. What I thought was amazing is how everyone's setup specs changed. It might be a 30-second, but everyone likes taller action because they're heavier-handed with their right hand. But folks up in New York and that area, and even Martin in some ways, or in Pennsylvania, I should say, folks like their action a little bit lower.
Yeah, I've noticed that now more
Yeah.
living in Nashville for
Yeah.
almost 5 years versus, you know, living in Pennsylvania and seeing the specs, you know, and they're still the same
Yeah.
at Martin. You
Yeah.
know, they're not going to change them, but knowing what these guys want down here versus in the Northeast it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
All right, let's give some stuff away. Give everybody a chance to take a breather for a second. We were kind enough to get some Martin swag for our little foray tonight, and so we've got a wonderful Martin baseball hat, and someone is about to win this. The winner of this is Mark Colder 1. Mark Colder 1, you have just won a fantastic Martin baseball hat. Send me your information at service@mightyoakmusic.com. Mailing address, what you won, what your screen name is, things like that, and we will ship this out to you as soon as we can. Lots of fun. Love it. We've got a ton more stuff to give away. In fact, let's give away something else. Let's give away some strings. This is a Martin Acoustic SP. Phosphor bronze, light set, great strings. I've used these strings. These are great strings. Winner of this is Richard Lang. Richard Lang, you have just won some Martin SP strings. Send us your information, service@mightyoakmusic.com, and we can get you fixed up with all of that stuff. All right, let's do a couple of announcements here before we get too off of things. We have our new Guitar Gathering community discussion board, which if you have not checked that out, go to guitargathering.com/community. And wow, it has just been going like gangbusters. I think we went over 1,000 members now. Greg's a part of that, and you're
That's
on
right.
that quite a bit.
That's right.
Answering questions. I'm on there answering questions most days. And if you want to look for a good, encouraging, informative, supportive group of people,
Sure.
you're not going to find a better group of people than at our discussion board. We try very hard to keep the riffraff, the loudmouths,
Yep.
the people that aren't helpful away.
It's unlike, I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt.
please.
It's unlike any other forum I've ever have seen. I don't take part in any of them really,
Yeah,
but when you do, it gets gross pretty fast.
yeah.
You know,
It's,
what you have going on, Steve, is fantastic, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. For the guys out there, if you post a question for me on Ask Greg, I'll get around to answering it. I promise. I try to hit it twice a week.
yeah.
You know, and I'll
Yeah.
come around once in a while. I stop by the chat box and I kind of try to chat it up. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I have takers, sometimes not so much. But
Yeah.
about twice a week. So if you post a question and it takes me a few days to get it, I'll eventually get to it. I promise.
Yeah, it is wonderful. I can pretty much go on any time, day or night. I can go on in the middle of the night, and there's stuff people are talking in the chat, and you just sit there and talk about guitars, talk about talk about what you love, the music that you love. It's great. So we've got that. We also have our Guitar Gathering Summer Conference coming up. Wow, it is really coming up now. You can get all the information at guitargathering2018.com, and it's going to be here in Nashville, June 20th through the 23rd. Workshops during the day, learning different skills. We've got flat picking, we've got bluegrass, we've got jazz, we've got fingerstyle, we've got songwriting this year, we've got music theory. Trying to work out with our friends over at Guitar Craft Academy to get maybe some guitar building stuff.
That'd be great.
Greg teaches about guitar setups. He's also there setting up your guitar. So if you don't have access to a good guitar tech in your area, coming out to the conference. Greg is just setting up guitars all like a crazy man, day and night.
How many years now? How many years?
Probably about 8 or 9.
8 or 9 years, yeah. I really enjoy people coming by and just hanging the most, to be honest, and talking shop.
Yeah.
It's great. I usually have 2, 3, maybe 4 folks that just kind of plant themselves in the room,
Yep.
and they become good buds over the next 3 days or
That's
so.
awesome.
It's a good time, yeah.
We are working on some exciting things. We've got Musicians Hall of Fame guitarist Will McFarland's going to be with us. Fingerstyle legend Phil Kagey's going to be with us. Let's see, Christy Lene, Winfield International Fingerstyle Guitar Champion. She's going to be with us. We've got a whole bunch of great teachers and workshops. If you're interested in really digging into your instrument, at whatever level you're at, whether you are just starting or whether you are a more advanced player, it's open to everybody. Check it out, guitargathering2018.com. Hey, early registration ends. That lowest price, this is the lowest price you'll be able to get it. That's going to end on April 10th, which is, 2 weeks away. So if you're interested, the price is going to go up after April 10th. So check it out now if you're interested. There's some exciting things going on for the Saturday of conference, which I'm dying to tell you about, but I can't tell you yet because it hasn't been finalized. But you're going to love it. You are going to love it. All right. If you're watching us on our YouTube page, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. Since the last time we've had live lessons, we went over 10,000 subscribers. It is just thank you. What a joy to be able to put up these videos. Gosh, the one we did with Molly Tuttle, 25,000 views in the last couple weeks. You guys are crazy nuts over Molly Tuttle, and what a great show that was. So anyway, all right, let me, I probably should play something else, I guess, and then we'll talk for a little bit more about stuff. I saw that one of y'all's artist was Ed Sheeran, so was a Martin artist. So I thought, I'll do a little Ed Sheeran little song. Give me that sinker to play. as long as we're just messing around, as long as I have my pick of.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it's in the building.
That's right.
They don't stay around very long.
Are you going to sing, man?
Um,
You going to sit this one out?
All right, a little bit of Ed Sheeran here, if I can remember how this tune goes. Thinking Out Loud, his classic song there.
that thing's amazing.
Yeah, it's
There
nice.
you go, a little Ed Sheeran for you on this beautiful sinker guitar. Let's get to a couple of more questions. And
Maybe we can chat about that the 21 as well.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
definitely,
Behind
definitely.
Tell us about this one. I'll give this back to you. Thank you.
Sure.
So a little before my time, my tenureship, George has always been really great at designing guitars. That's no secret. So he capitalized on doing
that's
a
pretty.
whole 21 series. So you have your typical Dreadnought 21s, and then George coined. We did make an M36
That's right.
many years ago, but George really coined the phrase 4-aught. He designed a few different designs of the 21s and 4-aughts, and we also have double-aughts.
That's right.
And these, the rosewood that comes on these with the flame binding on this,
Yeah,
this
that
one
is
has
just
koa.
gorgeous.
I mean, it is beautiful.
Yeah, and it also has an incredibly unique sound to it, and I think some of that comes from the fact that it doesn't have an adjustable truss rod.
Yeah, that is something we were talking about earlier. These 21s George designed have the old school T-bars in them.
That's right.
So when I feel a guitar, when I play a guitar, I'm not just playing it to hear it. I'm playing it to feel it.
That's right.
You know, I usually put my arm real tight on the bottom. I'll keep my other hand and wrist on the block. I'm really trying to figure out how tight the guitar was built because I think that's a big part of it. And I think you're right, Greg. With this having a T-bar, it definitely gives it a different
It does.
tonality
Yeah.
than if this guitar was built with an adjustable truss
That's
rod.
right. Martin didn't build an acoustic guitar with an adjustable truss rod until the mid '80s.
That's right.
So there was a long time that instruments came without that adjustable rod, and they all had a certain sound to them, I thought. And this instrument really captures that. Now, because Martin was used to building these instruments for a very, very long time, they already knew and know now what to look for when you don't have an adjustable truss rod, you know? And I think that's incredibly important, which is why no other manufacturing company that I can think of, maybe one, will touch making an acoustic guitar without an adjustable rod because it's too it could move around on you in that way. You really have to have your production down,
And it has
in
to
order
be a
build
tight
it,
fit.
without a doubt.
It can't be loose on the back of the heel.
No,
No.
no.
I mean, you have all kinds of problems.
You got all problems, and it doesn't move around in a bad way, where sometimes you need that truss rod to really help work it
Right.
around. But it's nice and solid. It's nice and solid, and it stays that way, and it has a beautiful sound to it. And I'm a big fan of the 21s as well. Plus, I think they're beautiful. They're awesome.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. The 21 was an actual guitar back in the 30s and 40s, and it just kind of faded away over time
That's
because
right.
the 28 and the 18 just got so big.
Yeah.
The 21 was just kind of.
No.
I mean, we do it every once in a while, a 21 special
That's
or
right.
limited run, this 21. But I mean, George did the right thing of making his own
Agreed.
custom design run of 21s.
Yeah.
You can't even build that guitar
Right.
today for what Gruhn did.
And what we're pricing them for is custom, sure.
So
I see what you mean by the feel of it.
and it's got good
punchy,
pop.
Yeah,
It's got really good punch. What's nice about this is the 4/0, and for all you that own a dreadnought out there and you're playing for 20, 30 minutes, your arm goes to sleep. If you don't want to lose that boom of your dreadnought, I really, really advise you to look into a 4/0 21 from Gruhn Guitars. You won't lose that bass, you won't lose that punch, but you will lose your arm falling asleep because
Yeah.
you're not reaching over
Yeah,
as
it's just
far.
a little bit.
It's a little thinner.
Just
That's
a little
the
bit thinner.
only
Very
real
comfortable.
difference.
One of the things that I tell folks, and I can't overemphasize how important it is to play a comfortable instrument. You're more likely to reach for it when it's not cumbersome. You're more likely to put in that extra 15 or 20 minutes with it.
Yeah.
And man, that really adds up over some time. You
Yeah.
know?
Choosing a guitar is a wow, it's a personal decision. I've played some guitars that looked so great
Yeah.
by the numbers on paper, but you get them into your hand and it doesn't speak to you. It just doesn't do anything for you. And then you have another instrument, which it doesn't have to do necessarily with price or how various aesthetics, but as soon as you pick it up that's your instrument. That's your goal. When you go into your guitar mega store and you look at the wall of 50 acoustics there and you try and find a guitar, which one should you go for? Well, you play a whole mess of them and you kind of you start to build preferences of what you like sound-wise, what you like, the feel of it. You don't want to find the perfect guitar. You want to find your guitar. You want to find the guitar that you are going to be playing 20 years from now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
right.
guitar that you need to find as you look on that wall.
That's right. And,
Yeah.
and I think for what it's worth, that's why music stores are so important. That
Yeah.
you can physically go down. There's so many instruments that I know I love the way they look, and I want to force them on me in some ways. But every time I pick it up, I'd get an instrument, and I'd say, man, I really love the way this looks. Yeah, I don't want to play
You
it.
don't like how it plays.
Yeah.
You don't like how
That's
it sounds.
That's it. And picking out instruments in that way is not right. And sometimes an instrument that you might not think you would love, you can't put down.
Yeah.
That's the instrument.
That's
for
the
you,
one.
You know,
Yeah.
That's
and
the one.
Playing and handling a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen at times, you really need to do that. And especially with acoustic guitars, I mean, you have so many. The consistency by which Martin builds is dynamite.
It is.
It's
but,
dynamite. But
But there is wood. These are all made of
So
wood.
yeah.
So if you line up
Variations.
5 HD 28s and they're built by say
Right.
2 luthiers, 2 Martin builders build those 5 or 4, whatever. All 4 of those will sound different.
That's right.
Because the back and sides are going to have different densities from rosewood to rosewood tree. East Indian, Brazilian rosewood, Guatemalan, Cocobolo. I saw a question here. Somebody asked about the different rosewoods.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is density.
Mm-hmm.
Brazilian was right down the middle almost, a little towards, so from 1 to 10, 10 being the most dense, that's your ebony, and then one being less dense, which is like your mahogany. Brazilian would be right around 6. And then Cocobolo would be on the higher, Guatemalan, and so on.
How does that transfer to sound?
Well, that's where it gets
Are
very
one of them
difficult.
darker?
Yeah, one could be more bassy. You know, if it has more density, if it's heavier, it really responds to bass well. If it's lighter and it's like when you have a set in your hands, you know, book match set, and you're rubbing it together, when it sounds like glass, that's when you know you have like the best of the whole pile. That's what Brazilian sounds like. Old growth Brazilian sounds like glass when you rub it together.
And I mean, all these different wood species have natural characteristics. But once you put a box together, once you build an instrument, they're all going to be somewhat different. Same with tops. People can say, oh, Adirondack versus Sitka. There's this argument going back and forth, Carpathian, whatever it might be. But you don't fully know what you have until you put it together.
Right.
And then you couple that with a player. That's the X factor.
Yeah.
And I've played instruments before that I thought were the most fantastic sounding guitars when somebody else is playing it. You know, and as soon as it gets into the hands of somebody else, it sounds different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think finding the right instrument for the player is incredibly important. And it's not a matter of having one instrument where everything just lines up so beautifully that where you have to go with that guitar. Well, yeah, all the stars lined up for you on that instrument because it's the right instrument for you, not necessarily the next person.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The player, your touch on the instrument, you know, that's what's going to make it sing for you. You want to buy the guitar that speaks to you, not necessarily the guitar salesman's favorite guitar.
That's right.
You don't want to buy his favorite guitar.
That's right.
You want to buy the guitar that's going to mean something to you, that responds when you play it and your style of playing. So many great questions here.
There's
pick
so
out
many.
pick out a
This
few.
humidity question, I always want to touch on humidity. Cold weather in the Northeast, you're running your heat a lot. Humidity in your house might be around 30%. That's just a wild guess right now. But Greg, what do you think? 45 to 55%, depending
That's where
on
I'm at. 45. I mean, in the summer months, I don't use a dehumidifier, you know, and so I mean, if I let it get upper 50s, I think I'm still okay.
You're okay. I
know?
wouldn't go over the 60 mark.
No, not at all.
So down here, we have to worry about that.
Right.
In the Northeast, or even like California where it gets dry, one thing I would really warn you guys about is when you're running your air conditioner is actually taking humidity out of your air.
That's
it might be 80% humidity outside, but you go back in your house, because you're running your air, it might be 40%.
That's right.
I would suggest to everyone, try to have your own little guitar room. If you can't, a closet, and try to really, really control the humidity. I'm not saying don't take your guitars anywhere, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to take your guitar out and play, but
Yeah, and I always say that it's where your instrument lives. It's best for me when I work on instruments, even my own instruments, where I keep them, like you said, in one room. It's so easy to control the conditions in one room. I have a hygrometer. I can tell exactly what's going on, you know, phone app, whatever it might be, at what's going on. Yeah, I think that is incredibly important. So if you have your instruments scattered all about, it'd probably be a good idea to bring them into one room, especially during the cold months when you have that heater going and you can have the humidity levels drop. It's so easy to get a room humidifier and just go ahead and take care of the whole room in one shot.
yeah.
You need to think of your instrument long term.
That's right.
And this instrument's going to be around. This instrument probably is going to be around longer than you.
Yeah.
And the reason we have some of these instruments from 50, 60 years ago is because they were taken care of by previous owners. And so it's worth investing in a humidifier. It's worth taking a little bit of a care with your instrument when you travel, when you have to do certain things. Care for your instrument. It's going to be around a long time. You want an instrument that you can pass on to your kids someday. You know, that's the kind of instrument that you want to take care of.
For sure.
Steve, I wanted to address this one question real quick. Somebody, Randy Payment, you asked about why do Martin guitars come without end strap pins. Your end pad, your pin should be in your case inside. Okay. The reason why we don't ship guitars with the pins in is when it's in a box.
Yeah.
And UPS drops the box on the ground. If that pin is hit and it flexes, it's not going to flex. It's going to flex the block which is about 2 inches outside this end piece on both sides, it's going to break right there.
That's right.
And that's why we don't put the end pin in. There should be one in your case. If you didn't get one, please contact the dealer that you bought it from. One other question, Keith Bates, about your 2011 D16 GTL. That's a Dreadnought 16. 16's the appointments, has a gloss top, mahogany back and sides. I'm pretty sure the L should be lefty. If I'm wrong, or if you want the very in-depth specs on that guitar, call Martin Guitar at 610-759-2837 and ask for customer service.
And they'll tell you all about it.
Yep, they'll tell them all about it. Just make sure you have your serial number.
And where is the serial
The serial
number?
number is located inside your guitar, right on your front block. So you look in your sound hole and just look straight up. This one's 2155604. All right?
Very cool. Very cool. Patrick Knight is saying, does the Synchro models have pickup systems? Short answer to that is no.
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 Not right now. Of course, you can get just about any electronic systems done here at Gruhn.
Yeah, I tell you, I love the fact that most of these instruments don't have units in them.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Again, this guitar, I wasn't going for something that was fancy.
That's right.
It's not an eye catcher. It's an ear catcher.
That's right.
And you could
people
play
have their
this through a
preference.
58. You could play it through LR bags. You could play it through a Fishman. It's going to sound incredible either way you cut it.
Yeah.
So
And
I wanted to keep the price where it was at.
I get it. And a lot of times folks have their preference in aftermarket pickups. Plus the pickup install takes about an hour, and you
Yeah.
can pick out whatever pickup you might want to put in your new instrument. It's a non-invasive install.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin is to the point where we offer two brands now, Fishman and LR bags, but it took us a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
So there might be something else out there that you might want as a consumer. You might want K&K or, there's other brands out there that are great. So we do sell them right now without electronics. So if you do want one, just contact Rob Ruff here at Gruhn, and Greg could probably hook you up.
Keith Bates, have heard great things about the M36. Tell us about it, please. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, the M36 is basically a 4-aught, and the 36, the numbers in guitars, well, back in the day, the D18 and the D28 were named because that's what they cost. When they first started building D18s, they were $18, the D28.
Get out of here.
That's where they actually came with the name. That's where it spawned from. But now, today, everything 18-wise is all about the inlays, the rosette. So your M36 is going to be a step higher than a 35. It's going to have a 3-piece back. It's going to have side inlays. It's going to have a back inlay. It's going to have the antique white. It's a standard series guitar, but it's the Dreadnought size, like we talked about earlier. It's not going to have the depth on the sides. It's still going to have that punch. It's going to have that sound, but it's not going to make your arm fall asleep in a half hour.
Did I see that Martin had made their 1/1,000th guitar?
That was we actually just did our 2,000,000th guitar.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, so we did a limited run of 50 D200s. It's about a clock.
The watch.
Yeah, it's
the
about
movement.
time. It's
Like,
very,
I've seen some
very,
pictures.
yeah,
They're
it's very
just
in depth.
crazy.
It is crazy.
Jay, can you go? Can you chat a little bit about the person building those D200s? The movement that there's one person putting those boxes in the inlay work.
That is a very extensive build. When we say still handmade, we mean it.
Man,
and that's
you're not
why when I say a D18 takes 4 months, it takes 4 months. Yep. The D200s are taken anywhere from about 14 to 16 months because it's hand done. It's done by one guy. Obviously, you can only do one back. You got to let it dry for 2 days. You do another one. And the response to that guitar, me as a designer and a builder and a wood guy, all that stuff, I was a little iffy at first. The price point's high. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people out there with money that want to buy cool stuff. But then, the clock, the time.
I
And
love it.
It took me a while to fall in love with it.
Man, I tell you.
It really did.
It hit me right away.
But when I did, when it hit me, it floored me. And then people just started contacting me and wanting me.
So I remember when I took the tour, that one is the one that blew me away.
Yeah.
That one is the one that blew me away. Movement, gears of a clock, inlaid, unbelievable.
A watch in the headstock.
It's beautiful. I thought it was just wonderful. What does something like that go for?
Street price?
Yeah.
Probably talking about 140,000,
Yeah.
150.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of work that goes into that.
You know, I saw in here someone asked, they see a lot of guitars out there with a lot of flashy stuff on it and higher end aesthetics. Martin guitar, you know, whether it's a nice simplistic build like this sinker, it's not always about making a guitar look the best in the room. It's been Martin's #1 mission since 1833 to be the finest fretted instrument in the world. And I think the sinker, the 21s right here at Gruhn, the 15s, the Turs, the 5 Turs that these guys design are the best in the world. And if you haven't come down here, you got to see this shop. Nostalgia is an understatement. It's legendary.
Yeah.
I know people from all over the world that want to come here
That's right.
and talk about George Gruhn and Gruhn Guitars and the guys and the girls here. So
Yeah.
if you've never been here, come on down and see us.
For sure.
Watson is saying, is the D28 considered kind of the workhorse of the Martin line?
Oh, without a doubt. D28 is the most popular acoustic worldwide. Now,
Acoustic guitar of any manufacturer worldwide.
worldwide. Now, nationally in the United States, when we revamped the D18, what was it, 8 years ago?
Mhm.
It was sometime,
Oh,
7
yeah.
years ago. When we revamped it, redesigned it, and kind of merged that D18V and the standard D18 into one, it just blew up.
Mhm.
So now nationally, the D18 has become the #1
Mhm.
acoustic.
Mhm.
But I think the sinker might
I hope so.
take it
Sinker's
down.
doing so great.
There's only so much of it.
There's only so much of it. That's right. But
Oh, wow. Okay, we are quickly running out of time. Any last, we've got probably 30 questions here on the screen. Any of those catching your eye real quick?
I will tell you this, guys. This has been a lot of fun. I love hanging out with you two. And anytime you need me to come in and hang out and do this,
Oh, man, it was a
it's-
joy.
yeah,
I'm so glad I
we
was
almost
able to
to
work.
make this two
Yeah.
shows, right?
Yeah, yeah. Ray Sandy is saying how to change the intonation of an acoustic. That would be more of a Greg question.
Yeah, it's-
Is that a
Sure.
possibility?
Yeah, no, it is. If your intonation is ever out, I mean, when, say, a Martin guitar is built, they come with a naturally compensated saddle, okay?
Mhm.
And even if you string it up with a lighter set of strings, whether it be lights or mediums,
Mhm.
it's really the two, they're going to line up for you based on neck flex and where it would intonate off the 12th. It's a pretty, it's a dynamite saddle the way that it's built, to where going one gauge away isn't going to change it. Now, if your intonation is out on any instrument, you can always move the peak of the saddle in terms of where it breaks as you need it. So if you're looking to move the intonation sharp, you want to go ahead and close up that scale length by making the break angle on the saddle closest to the nut.
Mhm.
And if you want to go flatter, then obviously you go the opposite direction with it. But before you go ahead and start messing with the break point on your saddle, I would highly advise anyone to make sure that the nut,
Yes.
where the string sits inside of the nut, and that break point should be exactly where it meets the fingerboard. If the break angle is closer to the backside of the nut, then your problem or the fix is not in the saddle. It has to do with cutting your nut slots properly. Then you check the intonation once your nut slots are cut properly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wonderful. So many great questions. I knew we weren't going to get them all. Let's.
I would really like to touch base real
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
on
no,
the
no.
Mexican-made Martins.
Sure. G Mills is asking about that.
Yeah, G Mills. So those guitars are assembled in Navajo, Mexico, which we've been down there for over 25 years now. Me being a builder, previous builder for Martin, I've trained many people, 40, 50 people from Navajo, how to phrase, how to bind, how to fit necks, how to do it the Martin way. So what we do in Nazareth, we make all the parts downstairs in the machine room. We take a truck, ship it down to Navajo, Mexico monthly. They assemble the guitars there. The guitars then come back to Nazareth. Then we check them over, set them up. Then from our distribution center, we send them out worldwide.
Wow.
So it's still done the Martin way. It still comes with a limited lifetime warranty. What that means is make sure you humidify your guitars. That is really the only thing
That's
that
the
can
big
hurt
one.
your guitar. If you
Sure.
don't humidify it, you over humidify it, that will void your warranty. Everything else is pretty much covered.
Right. Now, how many models are made in Mexico?
It's the backpackers, the X series.
The LXX, medium
Yes,
one, right?
any X series guitars, the backpackers, and Road series guitars, which is great because the Road series guitars are all solid wood,
Sure.
and we do have all gloss bodies now coming out of Navajo and Mexico. Very affordable price, street price right around $12.50,
Yeah.
depending on who you talk to. Come with a 3-ply hard shell case. There's a lot of great things happening at Martin Guitar. I wish I could tell you more. Wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Um,
We will definitely have you.
Yeah,
Have
without
you
a
back.
doubt. I would
I'm
love
so-
to come back with you guys.
And a great thing about a Martin, you're not going to. It's not going to lose its value, as it goes through its life. This is one of the types of guitars that just doesn't go down in value. That's going to be an instrument that's going to hold its value for you. All right, so many different things. Let's give away one more thing. We got a great T-shirt here, a classic Black Martin XL T-shirt. Someone is about to win this. The winner is Lee is still coming. The winner is coming. Oh, good. Yeah, let's do that. Ron Service. Ron, you have just won a Martin shirt. Great. Ron's one of our great guys. I hope you're an XL, Ron. Send me your information, service@mightyoakmusic.com, and we will get this out to you. Fun. Congratulations. We got more Martin stuff. We will be giving that away in future lessons and future broadcasts. All right, our next live lesson is going to be April 3rd, so we're going to take next week off. Our next one will be April 3rd. Not quite sure what we'll be doing, but we will. I'll have that worked out by then. We're still in March, so we've got our recording challenge over at the discussion board of Play Me Some Blues. So that's our theme for this month in the recording challenge. Go over there, submit your song for our blues recording challenge. Just a lot of fun. We also have our first forum CD, now that we have a new forum. That is coming, and people are submitting songs to Cindy for that. That's over there on our discussion board as well. Make sure and like our Guitar Gathering YouTube page. Check out, if you're interested in the conference, the best price is going to end on April 10th, so don't wait because it's going to go up after that. So guitargathering2018.com, and we'll get you all the information from that. We won the Acoustic Guitar Magazine's Player's Choice Award for Best Guitar Camp a few years back, so always a joy. Wow, we have talked about so many things. Let me play one more song. What do you guys want me to play? I'll play either one of these.
Play that 21. I love the sound of rosewood.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you, Greg, for being with us. Always a pleasure.
Anytime,
Jay,
of course.
what an
My
honor
pleasure,
to have
Steve.
you
Thank
here
you,
with
sir.
us.
Really appreciate
Looking
it.
forward to getting a better relationship with
Yeah,
you moving
definitely.
forward. You've been a great blessing to all of our family here, and I look forward to getting to know you and Martin a lot better in the future.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Steve.
Wow, been a great show. Let me play you out with something, and we will go from there. you go. Hey, keep up the great work in your own learning, and we will see you guys next time.